I always say it's about the whole experience. You know what I mean? From when they call the company till the job's done and follow up. What is all those little details like? So in one word, I have to say execution. Being able to execute all those variables.
Welcome to the Lion's Den, hosted by Lance Bachman.
Welcome to this edition of the Lion's Den. I have a special guest here with me, Matt Rathgeb, a friend that took a painting company here locally in Philadelphia from $0 to $3 million. He wasn't even doing $1 million a year 3 years ago. Now he's doing over $3 million. You heard that. Matt Rathgeb's here to talk about his story from being an ex-drug addict on the streets to what he had to do and overcome to be where he is today. And I'm proud to call him one of my very good friends at this point in my life. Matt, thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you for being so honest with everybody about your story, because it's an insane story.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Grateful to be here.
What do you think of the den, brother? A little upgrade?
Love it, man. Yeah, total upgrade, man. Like some Joe Rogan stuff going on back here.
So, Matt, let's jump into it. Let's talk about, first of all, how did you get into the painting business, and what's your story like? Because someone watching this real quick is going to say, grew up rich, white kid, privileged, grew up on fucking third base.
Yeah, completely opposite of that. Grew up in, somewhat tough conditions, you know what I mean? Alcoholic family, and then just like, got real involved at an early age, drinking myself, getting high, selling drugs, things like that. And, really took my life apart. I mean, even till this day, I have an 8th grade education, convicted felon, you know what I mean? Did all that stuff. And I was at my 3rd or 4th attempt at trying to get sober when I was 22 and a half, 23 years old, and I went into a recovery program. Just was blessed one day with the gift of desperation, got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and went into a recovery program, and met this guy like 4 days into it by the name of Bob, who was a painting contractor. And he told me, he gave me a job. I was just looking for a job. I honestly had never worked a day in my life, an honest day in my life until that point, honestly.
So, look, before we get into the painting part and the rehab, you know my brother OD'd. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know the story. He died from drugs. What made you say, like, I know you were living on the L, if I'm correct, you were homeless for a while.
I was on the streets for a little while at the end, yeah.
And what made you say, like, just enough? Like, did you, I mean, you're a good-looking guy. You're well-built. I mean, let's be honest here.
People ask me that question a lot because people want to know, like, there's, like, some magic solution. But honestly, it was really just the gift of desperation, man. I mean, that's why I believe in God. Like, one day I just had enough. Like, my soul couldn't take another second of that life. And I just got overwhelmed with, like, this huge desire to change myself. And, that was followed by, like, a willingness that I never felt before. You know what I mean? I kind of just ran with it.
Now, you're in rehab. This guy tells you, come paint. You never worked an honest day in your life, because selling drugs is work. I mean, it is. I mean, I'm not saying it's legal work, but it's work.
Right.
Now you go start painting. Are you thinking, and you're probably, I'm going to assume, making $8-9 an hour.
I think I was making $80 a day. Yeah,
$80
a day, so $10 an hour, yeah.
I mean, were you thinking, what am I doing here?
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? I was so beaten down, you know what I mean? Mentally, physically, spiritually. Like, I was just grateful to be sober at that time. I really wasn't like, I didn't think like this was a career. I just needed money to pay the bills at the recovery house I was living in. And I really loved this guy, Bob. He became like a father figure to me. So I was kind of just hanging out with him more or less as like a mentor type of thing. The painting was kind of irrelevant, but I was scared. Like I said, I never worked before. I didn't know if I had a work ethic. I had a lot of inferiority complex, and I don't know. Just like I liked the trade in the beginning. I liked to do the work because it like calmed me down. It was kind of like a meditative thing.
And then you and your brother, I believe, went into the union, right? Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And tell me about that, because that's a good job. I mean, you're going to make 6 figures in the union. There's no doubt. I tell people that. Northeast Philly, right? Unions are great jobs.
Yeah, where I grew up, if you can get into any trade union, that was like the mecca of life. Like I didn't know anyone, like any of my friends' parents or anything like that had a better job than that. So that's what I wanted to do. After I learned a little bit of the trade, Bob actually wrote me a letter to get in the painters union. One of my friend's fathers was a business agent. He got me in, and I lasted 4 months there. And it had nothing to do with the job, like you said, good job. You know what I mean? Just like after I was getting better, you know what I mean? I was kind of healing and getting better spiritually and mentally in my recovery. Like I started to develop some self-confidence. You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted more from life. I remember sitting there my last week at a union job thinking, like, if I wanted more from life than I was living at that moment. And I knew, like, with my background and my felonies, my arrest record, and I'm uneducated in the conventional sense, you know what I mean? I didn't go to school or anything like that, never even graduated high school, that I had to make a move, you know what I mean? That I claim responsibility for my future.
You know, I'm going to ask you a question. Why are you just so honest about your background? Because so many people try and hide it. They try and act like you see me, I have no problem saying, yeah, I got in trouble when I was younger. I don't give a, like,
Right.
But I know why I'm so honest about it. But why are you so honest, if you don't mind me asking?
I just think it helps people, you know what I mean? And it's not like, and it really is, like, it's miraculous that I'm here, you know what I mean? I mean, it's really from gratitude. I'm grateful as hell, you know what I mean? There's no doubt about that, but I think a lot of people struggle, you know what I mean? A lot of people struggle with addiction, period, but a lot of people struggle with self-esteem and all that. And I like to let people know that, like, you know, I'm in the process of achieving success that I've only dreamed about, you know what I mean? With none of the credentials that, you know, fit into our society.
So it's funny. I said this to someone the other day. They said, it was probably about a month ago. They said, man, we heard you got in some trouble when you were younger. You and your brother were really tough and this and that. You had some fights. And they were saying in front of my son. And I said, did you hear about the part where I'm a multimillionaire and I built successful company after successful company? I'm a good father. I'm a good husband. I said, because you're trying to make yourself feel better about my childhood, which I didn't have control over. And I said, but you can never affect my self-esteem. I wish you the best of luck. And I really do. And I meant it from the bottom of my heart, but I knew why they were saying it. Because do you feel like people try and say that to you to make themselves feel better? Because I feel like that's why people are afraid to admit it, to say something. They feel like people are going to try and use it against them.
I mean, I never really cared, to be honest with you. Like, I'm proud of the person that I am, you know what I mean? And I've had a lot of help getting here, a lot of mentors. You've been one to me, you know, a lot of people in the business world, a lot of people in the recovery world. So, like, it's, nah, man, I have no shame about it at all. I'm proud.
Yeah, I mean, I always say to people, it's easy to mess up. It's hard to bounce back and build something because so many obstacles are against you just in society, from how they try and label you, look at you, treat you. And if you allow it, you'll stay on the fucking ground forever.
Yeah, it's true. And you know what? One of the best things for me is that, like, you know, we've talked before about our past. And, like, I remember I asked you before, have you ever been hungry? Well, we've all been hungry. But, like, if you ever been hungry and you don't know where your meal's coming from, you know, I lived like that for a long time. And that does something to you. You know what I mean? It does something to your soul. So I always feel like my back's against the wall. Like I said, I was desperate when I got sober. And, you know, I've been sober 16 and a half years. And that desperation, to an extent, is still there. You know what I mean? Because I know it's all on me. I couldn't get a job tomorrow morning at McDonald's. You know what I mean? Because I have no education and because I'm a convicted felon. So it's always on me. You know what I mean? So when I wake up every day, I know it's on me. So I got to go.
If you like this content and you're trying to grow your business, follow me at Lance Bachman and Lance Bachman Digital on Facebook. LFG, time to grow. Let's talk about that because I think people don't understand the transformation. I'm going to tell you the transformation I've seen over you, right? I seen you when I met you probably 3.5 years ago now it's been. You walked in my office and I remember you called me up and you went to meet me. I was like, come on in, and we talked. And you were scared.
Oh, yeah.
You were scared. You were. And you were nervous. I could tell you were nervous. And you were still a technician at that time. Like I told you, I was like, dude, you're never going to be a businessman as long as you're doing the work. And we had that conversation about putting the brush down. Now I see a businessman. You have over 20 employees. You're going to do over $3 million. That puts you in the top 0.01% of all companies in America. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that.
Oh, that's a fucking fact, Jack.
Yeah, I don't really pay attention to that.
Oh, that's a fact, Jack.
Just go to work.
Oh, yeah, I know you do, but I'm just telling you that takes a businessman. A technician cannot do that anymore. It's impossible.
Right, exactly.
You know, a manager can't do that, right? Because I believe there's 3 stages to people in business, right? There's a technician, right, employee. Then there's a manager, the person that kind of manage, and then you have a true businessman, leader type person. And there's a few other steps in between, but you're a small organization. I'm just dumbing it down for people. You know, where do you think that transformation happened? Like, be honest, because where did you get the skill sets?
I mean, it was a process. You know what I mean? I've like when I left my job, I had 2 bedrooms to paint. And that was in March of 2011. That was it. Traded in my brand new Honda Accord, got a van, pulled up at work. They didn't think I was quitting. They're like, yo, people are lined up around the corner for this job. I said, they can have it. I'm out. You know, I didn't have any clue what I just knew that I felt this incredible desire to succeed. So I just ran with it. You know, things unfolded. But over the years leading up to our meeting a couple of years ago, you know, I've even had clients tell me like, yo, man, you got to put that brush down, dude. Like you know, you can sell, or you know, you're a visionary. Like just from having conversations with them, or you're too personable. You need to do this. And I would paint houses from people that had businesses, and they would try to give me advice. So it was always in my head. And then I started reading books like The E-Myth. That's a great book.
Great book.
And, you know, I was just like, wow, man, I don't really have a business. I'm kind of just like self-employed. You know, I was just grinding, you know what I mean? And I didn't really have the right people around me. So Dave Minguini from DMC Snow, shout out to Dave.
Big Dave, he's doing good.
Yeah, he's doing real good. And Dave's always been a hustler, man. We were painting dorms in Drexel, or he was, years ago, you know what I mean? Putting ladders on SEPTA buses. But I seen Dave's business grow, and I kind of reached out to him on LinkedIn. And he's like, I got to go up to this company, you know. And remember, I came up here to redo my website. I didn't know anything about SEO. Remember that? I was in this room,
you were in
actually.
this room.
And, you know, we started talking about numbers. I said, yeah, I got to use the bathroom, man. So I remember, just like, you know, any other time, a transformative time in your life, I went to the bathroom, and I was scared to spend the money. You know, I didn't really have the money. I had $7,000 in my bank account when I came up here that day.
I think you gave me 6 of it.
I laid it all on the table, yeah.
Yeah, I think you gave me 6 of
For
it.
the website and to start the SEO. But I remember going into your bathroom here and thinking, like, am I in, or am I all in, or am I not all in? You know what I mean? So.
Do you know how many people are all out when we talk to them? They don't understand that you got to invest into their company. They just think they can do it for free.
It's unreal, you know what I mean? And I relate to that. I relate to that mindset. Like, I just couldn't see it either. Like, I couldn't see it. I just got sold on, like, the energy up here. I was like, you know what, I'm all in. I remember giving them my credit card. And just like, you know, when I left my job, it really wasn't like I had this plan or we were going to do X, Y, Z, and this was going to happen. None of that. It was just a complete, you know, faith. You know what I mean?
But you're a lot more methodical now in business because we've talked. You joined networking groups. I've seen you travel to New York for meetings. You'll call me at 4:35 in the morning. We'll talk business. You've definitely polished yourself up on the business side, the numbers side. You understand. You don't go from you, and I think you had 2 or 3 people at the time.
Yeah, we were doing $500,000 a year when I came up here. And
Yeah.
I was grinding.
Yeah.
I mean, I was making 6 figures, but I was working, like, hard.
Now you're doing over $3 million. You got over 20 employees. I mean, I'm assuming people like Mike McCann you're talking also with business and some other people.
Yeah,
You're
Mike's
just,
a great friend of mine.
that you're just talking business. You're talking about the problems out there, labor, advertising. I mean, we talk about that a lot. You know, you even use now systems and processes. Can you talk about that? Which you're a big believer in that now.
Yeah, I mean, really the story goes is like, you know, we were just talking prior to this. You know, I've been in business 10 years. March was 10 years. And
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I made more money the past 3 years than I did the previous 7 combined, a lot more. And there's no coincidence that, you know, it started when I came up here, signed up for the SEO thing, got the website going, and started really running my business from the mindset of a CEO instead of a technician. And, you know, got some software programs for estimating, started tracking our leads, started getting a CRM, started doing monthly newsletters, staying in front of my clients, you know, accumulation of a lot of small things, you know what I mean?
What's your number one lead source right now if you're truly tracking?
Well, I mean, this month it was actually referrals. But other than that, from an advertising standpoint, it's Google. It's 100%.
Google.
And,
Not even close.
And I just wrote, yeah, it's not even close. For years it was Angie's List and things like that, but I kind of got away from all that. So we get almost about 10 leads a day from Google.
10 leads a day from Google. Organically.
Organically.
Not including paid.
Not including paid.
Just 10.
Yeah, I mean, if you look us up right now, I think we're 5 stars, 173 5-star reviews, all 5-star reviews.
So let's talk about, I want to ask you about Lines AI. You got to see Lines AI. You're a part of it. You've used it. Lines reporting. Have you ever seen, people are constantly pitching you that they can do digital marketing better than us. I know that because you talk to me, you're my friend, other people. Have you seen anything close to what the results of Line AI brings?
To be honest with you, no. I mean, it's really mind-boggling. I mean, it's funny because I always knew that weather played a factor. You know what I mean? Like people's moods and all, especially for my business. Like painting's not an emergency trade, so you know we could tell seasonally, of course. You know, a little bit of prediction there, but the way that you guys really got the data nailed down like that is like ridiculous.
We're on a 3-day job for you, and just for the viewers, you understand. We actually can give Matt what he has to spend to fill his job board up, so he has no crew unattended, and what it's going to cost to convert, and it's literally inside of 95% accuracy to 100. Think about that. You know what you have to do to make money.
I mean, it's really just some next level stuff. You know what I mean? It really is. Because, like, I really started, like, you need to know your numbers, you know? Every business book will say, know your numbers. When I got to know my numbers and I could plan and forecast, you know what I mean, per the season of what I needed to do to make X, Y, Z, it just changed the game. And this whole thing that you got going on is just like, you know, a step way up here.
You know, let's talk about your competition, right? You know, there's only been one player, right? And, you know, probably bigger than you. I think he's still a little bigger than you right now, but not much.
Yeah, there's a couple decent-sized painting companies in the city. There's one huge one everyone knows, Nolan Painting. I mean, you know, and they got a great business. Kevin's got a great model.
And he's been around
great
for a long
person,
time.
too.
Yeah, I mean,
I met him a few times.
At the pace you're going to surpass him, though.
Possibly.
I mean, there's a very good reality of it.
Yeah, it can definitely happen, and that's the thing. It's like, you know, I've always set myself little goals, especially the past few years, and like, you always think they're these huge things, and then you achieve them and realize how small they were. You know what I mean? So like, the vision is constantly changing.
So,
Like, I could never see myself being a $10, $20 million company because I didn't have the right systems and processes. Everyone can say, hey, what if you get 30 leads tomorrow? Well, if I can't service those leads, what's it matter? So I started thinking, like, you know, how can we? But now I can see how we can.
and plus you changed your mindset.
It's all about mindset, man.
It's all about
Every
mindset.
day.
You hang out with people that think $100,000 is a good living. Your whole life's going to be fucking hanging out with people with $100,000 is a
Well,
good
I'll
living.
tell you what. The last few years, especially, I'm always the least wealthiest person in the room, and I make sure of that, man. I'm around some really good people who like make me feel small, and we do a lot of real high-end work. And I'm in some incredible homes. You know what I mean? Out on the main line, Center City. And I like being in that because then it makes me feel small because, you know, I grew up with such low self-esteem. And, you know, it makes me realize, like, anything's possible. You know what I mean?
You know, let's talk about that. For any kid out there that's watching this, right? I always tell people I was so insecure going through junior high and high school. I talked with a slur. I was poor, getting in trouble, just the worst self-esteem. I mean, like, just you think about it. I thought about it, right? I just never did drugs. Like, thank God. Like, right? Just, is it amazing how confident you are now compared to that kid that was scared then?
It's really like looking at two different people. I mean, that's the beauty of being sober. You know what I mean? Like, I've literally lived two completely different lives. You know what I mean? Like, when you see right now there's just an epidemic of people everywhere, you know, with signs all over the highways. Like, I've lived that life. You know what I mean? And to be able to get through that and just be a completely different person and look back, it's unreal.
It's, you know, I say it to every kid I meet when I see they're down and have low self-esteem. I see them going through it. I'm like, this isn't the end of your story. You can be whatever you want to be. I was worse than you.
Yeah.
I was the most insecure kid.
I can feel it when I say it. You know what I mean? I
Like my hair is sticking up my arms. They're thinking about me in high school and my first few years out of high school.
Yeah, I coach a lot of sports like you do. You know, my kids and all, and you know, you can tell the kids on the team, and it breaks my heart. You know what I mean? But I always feel like it's my job to try to lift them up. And when I see people, like, I'll be with my kids in the car, and I'll see those people asking for money. I always try to stop and talk to them. You know what I mean? Because I know that underneath of what you see on the surface could be, you know, a huge success story.
Now, you're a great guy. You're good looking. You can sell. You're charismatic. But that doesn't build businesses. It just doesn't. Not to your level. What separates you from all your competition? I'm going to ask that question generally and honestly because let's just say you're the top 3 painting companies here in Philadelphia size-wise, right? Right? Just pure.
Center City, yeah.
All around, I'd say you are, right? So let's just, and I know you were focused on Center City, but what separates you? Why you? Why your company? What are you guys doing culturally? Could talk about that?
I mean, really, I think I always tell my guys, we talk about the whole process. Like, when I stopped painting and started really thinking about the business, from like how we get the leads, when they call, who answers the phone, what's the process like to set up the estimate? What's the estimate like? Are we selling on the spot? If we're like all those little things, which really didn't take that much. It seems like such a big deal. I always sell my jobs on the spot. That's what we do. You know what I mean? If they sign right there, we schedule the job. We have the schedule. Everything's mapped out. So I always say it's about the whole experience. You know what I mean? From when they call the company till the job's done and follow up. What is all those little details like? So in one word, I have to say execution. Being able to execute all those variables.
How's digital marketing? Let's just talk about that. How's digital marketing changed your company and you? And we're going to talk about social media next. That's a whole different animal. So let's talk about just digital marketing. How's that changed you in the last 3 years?
It really put us on the map. You know what I mean? Like, when I came up here, you know, like I said, we were really smaller. I was still a technician, but we were still doing the quality work. Like, I knew that we were. Like, you know, everyone thinks they're the best. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you know, I've been around a lot of painters. I'm like, we're one of the best. I know we are, but nobody knew who we were. Like you said, it didn't matter. So digital marketing really put us on the map. You know what I mean? I mean, doing the organic stuff, and then the people who would start to write the reviews, and it just took off. I mean, you could Google 100 different ways, best painter in Center City, whatever. We're always on the first page.
Here's a question for you. Social media. It's just, right, it's a good and bad subject right now. A lot of people think for social media it's great for businesses. Some people think it's bad. There's a lot of pros and cons of social media. What's your take on social media as someone that goes on and off on social media? Because you'll shut it down and you'll go on, and sometimes I go to look you up and I'm like, he's not here again.
I haven't been on any social media since April last year, personally. And, for me, it's all about your personal perspective on it. For me, it's more of a distraction than it is an asset. That's just for me. You know what I mean? I know it has its benefits. We've gotten plenty of clients through social media. I just felt like, just with all this, I don't care what anyone's having for dinner. I don't want to hear anyone's opinion about the coronavirus anymore. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Or any of that stuff. And I realized for me, after about 6 months of being off, that I wasn't thinking about, the kid I used to go to grade school with, because I haven't seen his profile. And, for me, it's about peace of mind. I'm just not a big fan, you know what I mean, personally.
I could tell you this. I don't know if I would have not gotten off of social media if I wasn't in this industry.
Now, and you know what? And I will say this, just to be honest. I don't like myself on social media because it can be like a highlight reel. Like, I can take a picture of me and my family on the beach in Turks and Caicos, but you didn't see me fighting with my wife 20 minutes later.
Well,
you didn't see me chasing my son down the beach 10 minutes later.
So somebody will text me, will post, you have the life. You're living your best life. I wish I had your life. And I'm like, and you know what time I get up. You know I'm not bullshitting. 2:30 in the morning, you'll see the texts coming through, too. People are like, there's no way you get out of bed at 2. I was up at 1:30 this morning. I mean, just up, working. I respond back, come join me for a day.
Yeah.
If you want to see what my life's like, come join me for a day. You're getting a glimpse in time in social media. And it's normally people's best unless they're just so undisciplined and just such a train wreck that they just post about their baby's mama or baby's daddy and what's going on about this. And everyone loves those people.
Right. I mean, it just doesn't paint the full picture. I mean, you can make a judgment like in a split second off of a picture and a little caption.
100%.
Yeah, and it's just, things are just taken so out of context. So.
If you looked at Lance Bachman's profile, because you're friends with me, all you would do is think we wrestle, soccer, I travel, and party.
Right. Yeah, and I know for a fact that, you and probably Mike McCann are the two hardest workers that I know, so they don't see all the grind behind the closed doors.
No, they don't. So what's your plans for your painting company? Are you going to grow this to 6, 7, 10, 20 million and exit? Do you want to keep it? What's your plan?
It's a great question. I mean, I've actually been contemplating that a lot recently because we're just comparing myself to myself. We're just crushing it this year. You know what I mean? We actually had our best year last year in light of all the madness that was going on in the environment. But this year we're crushing it. I've been thinking lately, like, what is the exit plan? I'll be 40 next year, so I don't know. I don't really know, but it's on the table.
Matt, I'm going to ask this of you. Because someone out there right now is fighting with addiction, self-esteem problems. What would be the first piece of advice you'd give to them to change their life personally? Forget the business side. Just personally, what would you say to them? You've been through it. You've been through the ringer, dude.
I mean, the miracle can come any day, man. Honestly, if you're talking about straight addiction, like how it happened to me, and I'll just tell the story real quick. I was walking down Rising Sun Avenue. I grew up in Longcrest, and I was walking to meet a drug dealer in the projects at Hill Creek, which is on the south side of our neighborhood. And I had the money in my pocket and everything, and I just couldn't take one more step, man. Something happened to me that day. You know what I mean? Something that you really can't put into words and still can't explain 16 years later. So I always say don't quit, man. If you're trying to, get your shit together, get your life together, sorry.
That's all right. You can say whatever you want.
Don't quit, man. You only fail when you quit. You know what I mean? I tell business owners that all the time. There's a lot of young painting contractors coming up in their 20s and all that reach out to me sometimes, and I love to talk to them. I don't really believe in competition like that, you know what I mean? I believe in collaboration and creativity. So when they reach out and for some advice, and I can feel like, their challenges and all that stuff, I would say just don't quit. You only fail when you quit. Disappointments are coming by the boatload, you know what I mean? Challenges, disappointments, things getting messed up. That's every day for all of us still, you know what I mean? And I think that when you only fail when you throw in the towel.
Do you think society's becoming weaker?
I do, a little bit. You know what I mean? I do. I mean, I don't want to sound discriminatory, but it seems like, I seems like it's getting a little softer than it was when I grew up.
It seems like there's excuses for everything.
Yeah, I think there's just a way out. You know what I mean? For everything, or there's a cop out for everything, and life is tough, man. You ever read that book? Read the book, The Road Less Traveled. Is like the first sentence. Life is hard. Period. You know what I mean? That's the first sentence.
I actually said this to a buddy of mine, a very good friend of mine. I can say his name because he's struggling with addiction, and he's going to these counselors and meetings. I said, "That's great." I said, "But all these people, and he gets politicians involved in trying to help him. I said, they all want to hear your story, but at the end of the day, it's your story, and you got to be the one to fucking change it. They don't, you're just nothing but a story to them, but it's your story. You got to change it because they're going home at 5, 6 o'clock, whatever, to their family, and you're just a second memory. I mean, do you feel like it has to start with the person struggling more than anyone else?
That's all there is to it. You're the only person that'll change your life. You're the only person. You know what I mean? If you're looking in the mirror, you're looking at that guy that's going to change your life, or a woman, whatever. But I think things are like, people are scared to fail. That's like I see that all the time. I'm sure you see that all the time. You see people come up here, they think they want to sign up, and then they leave.
Oh, they run. We laugh. We can tell.
Yeah, you can tell as soon as
we
they
call
walk
them the
in the door,
shakers.
their body language.
There goes the shaker.
But people are scared, and I think we just, society. Like I coach a lot of kids sports. The participation trophy era. All the growth that's come in my life has been through pain and been through bitter experience. So when we're scared to let people fail and let people experience negative things, you know what I mean? I really think you're preventing them from growing.
100%. Last question. The majority of painting companies in the U.S. are under $600,000. The majority of them.
The average painting company in the United States has 1.3 employees.
Okay, so think about that, right? So
one person and a pair of legs.
One person and a pair of legs. You managed to 20 times that. Let's be realistic. Somebody that's looking to go from where you started to where you want to be. Because people want to be you. Make no mistake. People want to be you. People want your business. They want that money. What would you say to them to go do it?
You got to have systems and processes. You know what I mean? And you have to have the right people in the right seats. For me, it's all about the crew leaders. Like what the crew leaders do out there every day from a technical standpoint that keeps me out of the day-to-day operations is amazing. And so it has to, for me, it all starts with a crew leader. You know what I mean? If you're small or just starting out, go get yourself the guy, pay him the most, the best guy you can find, have him run your first crew. And then that's how it worked for me. I got out of my own way. I filled my seat, which was crew leader, started doing the estimates, and I just built like that. You know what I mean? Four-man crews, four-man crew, four-man crew. I just started building slowly like that. What's
the biggest lesson you learned in business?
It's hard. And don't quit, man. I never get sick of saying that. Like I said earlier in the conversation, my back has been against the wall my whole life. So I'm not quitting. You know what I mean? I'll never taste the canvas unless I'm bowing out on my own terms. That's just the way I'm wired. So just don't give up. It's hard. So now we're just going to have a conversation about the environment we're in. So you get a lot of different advice from a lot of different people. When I met you and you started making money and you started growing, you said, Lance, I'm making money. I said, invest back in your business, pay your house off, Matt, right? Everyone told you not to pay your house off, right? Did anyone besides me tell you not to pay your house off? Yeah, no, I think you're the only one who said that. Right? Yeah. Everyone said don't, because... Listen, from a mathematical standpoint, it might not make the most sense, because people can say, hey, you're in a 2.5% interest rate, you can invest that money, make 10. But no one's taking into account risk. Not only risk, it's not a fear thing, it's a peace of mind thing. It's a peace of mind thing, right? So I tell people all the time, I paid my house off, right? My account, everyone thinks it's been paid off for years, right? But when I sleep at night, I hate to say this, I walk around like I'm John Gotti, King Kong, I'm joking around, well, my house is paid off, right? Did you ever think 3 years ago when you walked through this door, your house would be paid off and you'd own a second house down the beach? And be honest, right now. No, not at all. So it's funny you said that. Actually, this week, today's the 26th, I didn't even know. Today is 5 years I've been in my house in Cinnaminson, and my wife and I pulled up there the day we made settlement, and I bought the house off a relative, and we said, holy shit, man, how are we going to afford this? You know what I mean? And I could have paid it off prior to, but I did it this year. Yeah, like you said, we got a house on the shore. I got some rental properties. Just think about that. You're in the top 1%. You have your home paid off, and you're not even 40. But all these other people just go out and they get bigger homes, and they just keep going. I'll tell you what. I love the book Rich Dad Poor Dad and The Millionaire Next Door. I started reading stuff like that, and it's tough because, especially when you come from nothing, you know, and he started to make a couple dollars. You got to be really disciplined because it's really, you know, I drive a nice car. I got an Escalade, you know what I mean?
Who told you to buy it? Who told you to buy it?
Stop.
I said, buy that, man.
My wife actually told me that. But other than that, because that's something I value, you know what I mean? I drive a lot. But other than that, nothing against like material things, but I've gotten less and less interested in that stuff over the years. You know what I mean? I'm really trying to live a different lifestyle, and like, you know, the house is paid off. Now we can invest a lot more money. You know what I mean? And live in peace of mind.
And that's the thing. If you can put money away, and I always say to people, once your house is paid off, life gets a lot easier.
It does something to you. It really has. It's like, because you know what? I will always need my home. I have 4 children. Like when we have our house, I don't need the beach house. I don't need all the rental properties. I mean, I hope to keep them all and buy a shitload more, which I plan on doing. But you know, if the rubber meets the road one day, I need nothing but my house, man. You know, and I've slept on the street, so I'm good. So that gives me a lot of peace of mind.
Matt, I want to thank you for being on the Den. My friend Matt Rathgeb, great person, great businessman, has grown year after year, doing the right things. And just remember this, you can change at any time. It's up to you. And that's the facts of the matter. No one else is going to change you but you. Matt, thank you so much, brother.
My pleasure, man.